Good afternoon and welcome to everybody and those councillors who are not members of the committee who are very diligently visiting and giving us their input. We've got a few items today and interesting ones at that. Firstly, we've only got one start item. The start item, of course, is the confirmation of the minutes of the last meeting. Councillor Tozer is happy to move that and Councillor Young is happy to second. So we might just take a vote on that start item. All those in favour, that is carried. Item 2, conflicts of interest declarations. We do have a couple, both from Councillor Tozer, so I think we might deal with those now. Which should be good. So,
do you want us to stand, or are you happy for it to just be sitting? Do you have a preference?
I think you need to stand because of the way the cameras are, and we would hate to miss you on camera, Councillor Tozer.
Thank you, Councillor Castro. So, just for the interest of the meeting, I received some advice from the City Solicitor in relation to a potential conflict or a perceived conflict. And the particulars of that are that my wife, Jude Kelman, is an independent documentary film production company. In items 5 and 7 today, we deal with screen production on the Gold Coast. And in particular in item 7, the reference material that item uses refers to a document where my wife is named as an independent documentary filmmaker. I've considered the interest as disclosed, and if I can just get you to scroll down a little bit, I'll use the right words. Despite that perception there might be a conflict, my knowledge of the film industry and familiarity with industry participants might add value to decision making in the public interest, and I can confirm that my wife is not currently engaged with and may not choose to participate in any possible future program of council. So I would like to participate in the meeting if the council resolves for me to do so.
So basically you want to deal with the two together because they're pretty much the same?
Initially I just declared for 5 and 7, but now that we're dealing with it here, I'd prefer that there was just a resolution where I could stay in the meeting if that was appropriate. As the chair, I think you can probably make a ruling on that.
Yeah. I think, I guess because one is specifically the screen industry, whereas the other one's investment attraction, we'll probably do them separately.
I'm happy to do whatever.
Yeah. So I think
the advice is.
I think that's the best way to go. All right, councillors, is there anyone who is happy to move a procedural motion one way or t'other? Councillor Gates.
Thanks, Chairman. I think at one stage there's a review of our policy for funding opportunities, a review of our policy underway at the moment. It may be in the lifestyle branch rather than this branch, but from memory I had a vague idea that there was a proposal to exclude the opportunity for any of our spouses or family members to apply for council grant funding. I would just like some clarity on the position on that before we proceed any further down this path. I mean, if this item number 7 is providing an opportunity for filmmakers to apply for grant funding, and that opportunity exists for one of our family members, I think it's important in our consideration of Councillor Tozer's declaration.
So you're only speaking in relation to item 7 because, item 5 is more just industry attraction,
yes,
as such. So,
I just would like some clarity around. Oh, thank you. I didn't know that you were here, Director.
Yes. Okay. So thanks.
I just think we need to have some clarity around what's permissible and what's not in terms of family members applying for council funds.
Okay. So I think Director Ewens is able to answer that one.
Thank you, Chair. So, Councillor Gates, you're right. So the resolution that we put up for the RADF grants, the Regional Arts grants through L&C Committee, not only did you ask us to look at the RADF grants, but you asked us to look at grants across the board. So these grants can be part of that review. Nikki Moore in the Office of the CEO is going to coordinate that review, and she plans to bring the paper back in July. And so this will be covered by that then. So nothing new we need to do here today.
Okay, thank you very much. On that basis, since we haven't, since the policy position will guide any further activity, I'm happy for Council to move that Councillor Tozer can remain in the room and participate in debate. Is the City Solicitor here to give us the wording for...
Through you, Mr Chair, Councillor Gates, Amanda has the wording that she can pop up there that Cherie has provided to us.
Thank you. Happy to move that.
And that wording seems to make perfect sense. So it's all hypothetical at this point in time, and if and when that were to occur, then Councillor Tozer would probably be leaving the room, one would think.
Absolutely. If a situation came up where a grant was being considered specifically for that my wife was categorically involved with, I wouldn't be in the room at all. But this is a much broader, beneficial exercise for the broader industry, and
Yes.
both 5 and 7, that's the case.
Yep.
So.
Okay, so if Councillor Gates is looking to move that, this is in relation to item 5 to start with. We have a seconder, Councillor Young. Okay, so I think, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I think I'm quite happy to put the vote unless anyone's got any questions, but I can't see how there would be any now. So we'll take a vote on that procedural motion that Councillor Tozer can remain in the room, given that any potential grant is, that's going to come down the track, and we're not dealing with issuing grants to any specific entity or individual today. So we'll take that. We'll take the vote on that Councillor Tozer can stay in the room. All those in favour of that, and everyone agrees Councillor Tozer did not vote. If we could just recall that, thank you. We'll move to the second declaration, which you've basically already summed up, Councillor Tozer.
Yes, if you're comfortable with the same particulars being fielded, then they are the same.
Yeah. So we can actually look at is the wording, the City Solicitor's wording, pretty much the same? Yep. It is? Okay. Councillor Gates. Councillor Young, again, okay, dealing with the same issues, so procedural motion that Councillor Tozer can remain in the room based on the wording advice from the City Solicitor that any benefit Councillor Tozer's identified related party may receive from the decision is merely a possibility at this point in time. So we'll take the vote on that. All those in favour? That is carried. Everyone's in agreement, and Councillor Tozer did not vote. So that's good. So what we'll do now, councillors, is item 3 is in relation to the Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct. We do have a presentation. The presentation will need to be enclosed, as is the item. The reason that this needs to, well, actually we've got a few items which are enclosed, so given we're going to be enclosed for quite some time until the last item, then items 3, 4 and 5. First one is Health and Knowledge Precinct, as I've just mentioned. The other one is International Trade and Investment Programme, Investment Attraction Guidelines. The 3 of those, the reasons we need to be enclosed, are on the screen. The local government budget negotiations relating to a commercial matter involving the local government for which public discussion would be likely to prejudice the interests of the local government. And item 6, the accommodation guarantee, is a matter that the local government is required to keep confidential under law of or formal arrangement with the Commonwealth or state. So for anyone who's watching, they're the reasons we need to go into close. So Councillor Young, are you moving us to go into closed session? Councillor Taylor, seconded. All those in favour? That is carried. Streaming off, please. So yes, we are back on and streaming. So we move to item 7, and we've got Gabrielle here in case there are any questions. Unless anyone wanted a presentation, again, don't think there's a need to at all. There's nothing to.
I don't need to make a conflict of interest declaration again.
Sorry.
I missed it in item 5. I didn't think of it.
We do still need to do that in open, I believe, don't we?
When we, yes.
We're in
When we
open
get
now.
Yes. As I say, I think we do need to do that.
I'm happy to do whatever I'm meant to do. I've already done it before.
We already did number 7 earlier, so that was 5 and 7, and council resolved for Councillor Tozer to stay in the room, so you're fine
But we
to be
did.
here.
Hang on, we did that in open, didn't we?
Yeah, but we'll
That's right.
record-
We've been in closed for so long, I'd forgotten that we were in open once. We were. Yes. There we go.
We'll just record Councillor Tozer
good.
of whatever your vote is for that.
All right, all good. So, any questions that anyone has for Gabrielle? That's a good report, Gabrielle.
I can speak to if you're happy to take a mover and there's no questions, I'm happy to speak to it from a personal.
Councillor McDonald moved, seconded Councillor Young. Okay.
Mr. Chair, there's been a gap in our attraction programs for film production for some time now. The Regional Arts Development Fund is a smaller scale grant program that we have, and then the larger investment attraction program tends to attract some offshore larger productions with larger budgets, but there's this gap in between. And the best example I can give you is not long ago, an associate of my wife's company who was on the ABC on a show on SBS on Sunday night, came and worked with Ron Howard's production, 13 Lives, and has leveraged that partnership for other smaller productions. Those smaller productions are all kind of basically self-funded most often, and this will provide a gap to make sure that a young filmmaker like Arun Ketsarat, who has had skin in the game before, had productions on TV all around, national broadcasts, will be able to employ Gold Coast locals and be attracted to the city, not just for the big productions as an employee, but actually to advance her own productions. It's a gap that needs to be filled, and it makes entirely good sense for us to fill that, because so many film industry participants are being attracted to the city for these large productions. We don't want to lose them every time a large production is produced elsewhere. We want them to be able to create new content and also employ locals and start their businesses here in between those large productions that are lucrative for them. I'd commend this report to councillors, and I think it'll actually result in some of the best outcomes for industry development as much as economic development. So.
And Gabrielle, in the report, it says we're not looking at funding, putting funding towards production as such, production costs. It's which is good too. So it's giving chance for internships, that type of thing, and training, and bring it. So it's good. It's really good. So in case anyone's not too sure, yes, we're not looking at just sort of going, oh, great, here's the money towards your production. It goes a lot further than that. So it's absolutely so money well spent. Oh, turn the microphone back on. I'm not used to having a microphone. There we go. Turning to Councillor McDonald, who's actually moved it. No need to. Yeah. No. Okay. Anyone wish to speak against?
I think they're just correcting the mover and seconder.
It's Councillor McDonald and Councillor Young. Yep. That's right. Okay. All right. Are we happy to take the vote on item 7? We are. We'll take the vote. All those in favour? Against? No one against. That is carried. We now need to go back in time to deal with all the matters that we looked at in closed session, so we can actually first of which was item 3, which was the Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct, which was moved by Councillor Patterson. It was seconded by Councillor Tozer. Councillor Patterson, did you wish to say anything, given that the matter was enclosed? So obviously you'll have to contain any remarks to, yeah.
Thank you, Chair. So with the Health and Knowledge Precinct and this partnership program, it allows the city to really put our foot forward in terms of supporting this area and this industry. It's been a pretty unusual time in this area that we've seen our universities decimated to a certain extent in terms of what's happened for them, but at the same time, COVID's had this silver lining for the Health and Knowledge Precinct, making us an incredibly attractive place for people from extraordinary companies, cutting edge in health and research around the world, finding us as an attractive place. So right now, this enables us to really leverage and benefit off that, to not take our foot off the pedal right now when we're getting all this benefit from that. And I'm very pleased to be moving this today.
Anyone else wish to speak for or against? No? Okay, all right. We will take the vote. All those in favour? Against? Councillor Gates. Councillor Gates, did you want to be recorded? Or yes, okay. Please note Councillor Gates voted in the negative. Yeah, thank you. You already had it. Boy, you're ahead of me. Okay. Councillors, will move to item 4. Item 4, which I believe, yes, was moved by Councillor Tozer, seconded Councillor Young. Councillor Tozer, did you wish to speak to this at all? This is international trade.
Yeah, look, the program speaks for itself and has resulted in some really great outcomes for the city. It's been interesting to read. I think as COVID constraints on international travel come to their natural conclusion, as the vaccines rolled out in our nation and other nations, this program will become increasingly important to us as we identify partnerships. And I would note that Councillor Owen-Jones has expressed an interest in going to Queenstown, and that's very exciting as well.
Councillor Owen-Jones wants to reply.
I think as a representative of Northern Gold Coast, visiting where 1 in 10 of our residents live is actually really important. So if the mayor needs a hand in Queenstown, I think we're all ready to help him. But we shouldn't go just as representatives. We should make sure that the right officers are with us as well.
Thanks, Councillor William Owen-Jones. Right, okay. We will take the vote. All those in favour? That is carried. Anyone against? No. Okay. All right. Everyone wants to go to Queenstown. Actually, I'm not so sure about that. Too cold for me, but there we go. All right. Item 5. Okay. Investment attraction. Councillor Tozer has moved this, seconded by Councillor Taylor. Councillor Tozer, if you wish to speak.
For those who are watching the live streaming, we've made some slight adjustments to the investment attraction guidelines, and they'll be appropriately published on the website very soon to broaden and target particular types of events and businesses to the city. This program has been very successful in driving economic outcomes for the city, both from events and also from films and bringing companies into our city, and it's exciting to see those guidelines continue to respond to market demand for what we have to offer here in the Gold Coast.
Thank you. Very well said. Anyone wish to speak against? I think everyone was supportive of this. We'll find out. We'll take the vote. All those in favour? That is carried. Yes, everyone's supportive. That is wonderful. We've moved to item 6, which was moved by myself and seconded Councillor Tozer. And yeah, there isn't really too much I can say about this one. So I think but it's a good idea. That's probably all I can say at this point in time. That's all I can say right now. So, okay, we'll find out more about this one hopefully very, very soon. Coming to a meeting near you. All right. Moved by myself, seconded Councillor Tozer. Does anyone wish to speak against this coming to a committee near you soon? No? Okay. We'll take the vote. All those in favour? That is carried. Anyone against? No one's against. That is wonderful. Does anyone have any general business that they wish to... Oh, sorry. 7. We've done 7. Yeah, no, well, I'm not sorry. Okay, there we go. I thought we'd finished. There we go. Anyone have any general business they wish to raise? No? Okay, in which case declare the meeting closed. Thank you all very much for your attendance and your input.